Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. It is holidays and pupils and students will be out of school for a period of 3 months. A moment for the children to have acquaintance with their family members and other people around their environment. Equally, a moment for them to engage in different activities, as we all know, activities that may turn out good or activities that may turn out bad. And today, in this edition of 360 Degrees, we are trying to caution the young people and the parents as well as to the path they should not take during this period. You are watching 360 Degrees and we are beaming live from Upwe in Douala. Do not move a muscle. We shall be right back.
In just a few hours, houses in the Yassa neighborhoods of Douala were reduced to rubble. The morning of June 10 is one that residents will not forget. They were taken by surprise as the city council caterpillars arrived without warning. We did not receive any quick notice. When I stepped my feet out of my home, that's when a neighbor alerted me that our houses are being demolished. Everything went down in the rubble. My children's documents. They did not give us time to take out our property. Among those affected were businessmen who decried the actions as an abuse of power. We met the authorities of Douala who told us our documents are being studied. We should be calm. We are surprised that they're demolishing our homes today. An area spanning nearly a hectare, including a school, was not spared from the destruction. We were never notified, nor summoned by city council officials. We are surprised. That's my 4 years investment. It's gone. Residents voiced their outrage, describing the demolitions as deeply unjust. I have documents signed by the authorities that allowed me to occupy the land for 5 years, and it's renewable, and I just exploited it for 3 years. The scenes were heart-wrenching, with people watching helplessly as their homes and possessions were destroyed. We bought our land. It belongs to us. We don't know why this is happening to us. As the dust settled, the community of Yassa faced an uncertain future, grappling with the sudden loss of their homes and the monumental task of starting over.
The 6 members of the gang summoned the courage to rob the nearest building to the culminated police station, storming this mutual financial development on the night of 15 to 16 of May, carrying away the sum of over 4 million CFA francs liquid cash and 2 telephones of mobile money operations with a content of about 1.6 million, armed with weapons like nail pullers, hammers, machetes, a crowbar and chisel. This is how they broke in to carry out their operation from one facet of the financial institution to another. They will later take refuge in different places like Obala, Yoko, Balmayo and Zoetele, all in the Central Region. But the Central Regional Division of the Judicial Police later cracked them down, one after another, from their hideouts.
I would like to seize this opportunity to address once again criminals such as robbers, kidnappers, rapists, sellers and dealers of hard drugs, and other non-criminals to stop all criminal activities by opting to join the good side of the history of our nation. We will continue to hunt them down, to stop them from causing harm to people when and wherever they take refuge after they have committed their crime.
A relief moment for the authorities and population of the culminated subdivision, Nyong-Eso division, who came out this June 12 to watch the remake of the scene.
It was a very traumatized moment for the population. We had not witnessed such acts of criminality here. The population were in shock and fear and reacted differently. But we are glad that in few days the forces of law and order were able to crack down the culprits.
This under the watchful eyes of the Nyong-Eso State Council As a culprit, all ex-convicts are referred to the legal department. The phenomenon of fake certificate is on a geometric rise in Cameroon, posing a major worry. According to the communique issued by the Minister Delegate at the Presidency in charge of Defense, Joseph Betia Somo, a total of 1,312 fake certificates have been detected after the publication of the result of the 2024 competitive examination into the military corps. The certificates include GCE Ordinary and Advanced Level, Probatoire, BPC, CAP, and remarkably 661 of such fake certificates are coming from a neighboring country. The same process in 2022 led to the discovery of some 929 candidates with fake documents, and the bearers immediately dismissed from the military training. The 1,312 already retained candidates, as indicated by Joseph Betia Somo, are fired with immediate effects. This many hold a warning to young Cameroonians. I salute the effort to flush out the fraudsters. It is a lesson for the youth to follow genuine paths of education. Even at the level of processing certificates, they should go to competent authorities and get authentic signatures. They should flee from agents that may end up providing them with fake documents. The realities of such forged certificates, they insist, will always haunt the individuals.
Il y a aujourd'hui nécessité d'abandonner.
Young people should quit such laziness, leisure, and easy ways. Embrace hard work to get to the levels of better and excellent performance. We need knowledge capital in our areas of competence. Only merit and efforts can elevate you, especially in this competitive era.
Atteindre ce stade de la compétitivité.
Where and how they acquire the counterfeit documents remains a major concern.
You're welcome back. If you are just joining us, you are watching 360 Degrees on Canal International. We are at your service on Saturday, every Saturday at 12:30, from 12:30 to 1:30. I have some gentlemen and ladies in the studio that will be throwing more light on our topic of today. I will begin from my right, where I have Mr. Fon Donatus Fru. He is a teacher and a school administrator here in Douala. This is your first time on this set, sir. You're welcome.
Exactly, it's my first time.
You're welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, and coincidentally, besides Mr. Fon, is Dr. Fon Elizabeth. Some were asking me if they're brothers. They are just meeting here for the first time. Yeah, Dr. Fon, you have been here before. We know anything that concerns children, you are always here to share your rich input. It's a pleasure, Doctor, to have you once again.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And by my left, I have a colleague, TESSA Bax. TESSA Bax is a journalist.
Yes.
She's not a new face on this set as well. TESSA, you're welcome.
No, it's my pleasure to be here, and I like sharing. It's very important.
You watched those reports there. Do you want to react to any briefly?
I can say that the basis of all what we saw are the parents. Because when we talk about forged certificates, we know that the children don't have the money to buy those certificates. It's mostly the parents who believe that they have to do certain things to make the child to cross to another level. And it's a reality. If you don't have the level to get to that other level, you are going to cross, but when you are going to reach there, you have to cheat to keep updates. So it is something that the parents have to work on.
Okay. By TESSA is Mr. Paul NEBA. Let me the difference between NEBA and NEBA. Mr. Paul NEBA, who is an entrepreneur, a digital marketer, and a youth mentor. You're welcome.
Thank you so much for having me again, Mr. Hyncenth.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to set the ball rolling. Our topic of today is holidays, as we struggle to avoid the bad side of it, because holiday, as we know, is a period many have, misinterpreted, or many engage in different activities. whereas maybe the major concerns are left aside. Let me begin with you, Mr. Fon. As a teacher, as a school administrator, what would you say in the context? What is holidays all about?
Well, holidays is a period where children and teachers will stay out of school for some time. Be it first, second, or third term. And here I think we should be talking about the third term holidays.
Yes.
Third term holidays, which is about 2-3 months.
Yeah.
And I think it's a period during which we have to be very, very careful. There is one thing we have to understand, which is that the education of a child has no pause. It is a lifetime process. So during this holiday period, what are they supposed to be doing?
Of course.
Should we let them play and grow wild? Should they go back to school and start attending holiday classes? Should they roam the streets as others do, children between 10 and 15, moving, covering kilometers around the streets with trays of fruits and groundnuts on their heads? I think we have to be very careful with what we let them do.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fon. Holidays, we are always maybe faced with situations where some children are forced to go wayward. What pushes them during holidays to go wayward? Is it that out of school means they are at liberty to do what they want?
I guess parents need to understand that childhood is a time of discovery.
Yeah.
It's a time of achievement. In school, they are challenged to study new things, pass their exams, achieve. They have this sense of, I've done it. When they get home on holidays, the parents have to think about that. Because when you just let them be, they have that sense of discovery and achievement in them. They are going to do things. And you, the parent, you better guide them and direct them. It's our role as parents to prune them. The things that are not good, we prune so that they grow things that are good. What are we growing in them during the holidays?
Tessa, maybe let me go gender-wise with you. Because most often the students that are out today, by September, some of the female students will not be the same. Some will be forced to stay at home because during these 3 months, anything can happen, and some of them can get pregnant.
Yes, actually, I think that doctor said it all. What do you want your child to carry in her mind? Because we know that when a child is born, it's like an empty disc. And gradually, she takes all the elements that come around. So you, if the parent, you decide that it's holidays and that she's now free to do what she wants, I think that automatically you're letting the society to educate your child. And what your society is going to do is like use the child who has no limits. Most of the times when you see parents today, because I'll talk about the parents of some years ago, those that we met, and the parents of today, we have the impression that there is a lot of hardship with this new generation, and most parents have left the education to the society. We know that when you have a child, you should follow that child. Even before we get to the holidays, you must already know what the child is going to do during the holidays. Even when you're already pregnant, what we say is that you already know the future of your child. It's true that you cannot adjust it completely, but you already know what you want for your child. And if you already know what you want for your child, it means that even during the holidays, you're going to know what to do. Look at China today. I think that we have to look at examples around us. When you look at their nursery schools, primary schools, we understand that they know what they want to put in the mind of those children. It's only in Africa that we have the impression that we leave it to the banana tree, we leave it to the neighbors or whatsoever. Us in Africa, we are not used to planning. And I think that that's the big issue we have today. The young girl is ready and she wants to do everything that is given to her. So if you plan it as a parent and that you give her the right way, the right path. And I think that a little girl who gets pregnant during the holidays is just because she wasn't given the right equipment. Because every woman today, we are conscious of the fact that if I want to be a mother, I know when I want to be a mother. But if it happens by accident, it means that there was something I was lacking and I went like a joke. And I ended up with another baby. And sometimes you see it is a baby carrying a baby. And no parent will stand to correct the mistake. They will instead leave it and will have a generation producing another baby generation. And nobody at the end will correct that phase. And that's where we have big issues.
Paul, talking about this baby stuff, recently we saw a report from one of the schools in Yaoundé, I will not call the name, where at the end of the school year, they are counting about 29 girls that got pregnant in one particular school. Now, if such can be happening when they're in school, what more when they're out of school?
Well, Mr. Hyncenth, it's unfortunate that we are living in a society where morals are decaying. Anything can happen, and that's why we are coming up with topics like this so that we can be able to guide these children more. Because sometimes when parents send these children to school, they tend to leave the responsibility to teachers. Because most times, during school times, they spend most time really in school, but they carry these ideas, these activities from different homes, and when they come together, they bring them together, and then they manifest whatever thing they manifest. So it's a collective responsibility, I must say. We can't blame the school whether it happened because it was a particular school, and we can't blame the parents, but I think parents have an upper hand. Why? Because I mean, the school is in the life of your child just for a period, and they have a responsibility towards that child, but it is your child forever, and you must make sure that you engage and guide them and keep instructing them. These things happen mostly when we have exposure to information that is not relevant for young people. I'm talking like somebody who's training people on digital marketing, and the access to information technology today is really what is causing this. Children get to acquire information that they don't need it at this tender age, because while you are sleeping as a parent, maybe your child is having an Android phone in the house and you have no idea about it, and now the information they are accesses from the Android phones and all of that, they tend to try to practice this. And that's how you can have results, because if you want to ask questions how it happened that they engage in such activities, because there's always a cause before an effect. What we saw was that effect, but now what was the cause? How did it come by that they got into a practice at that tender age that we had these results? Is because they must have acquired information, and they did not have the information as well to be able to manage that at that age, so they got into practicing, and then we have this. So it is signaling that our children in this era have exposure to a lot of information, and parents, likewise teachers, should be more smarter to be able to guide them, because I must bet you children these days are way smarter than we were.
Dr. Fon, we are talking here about holidays. Yeah. Now, most of this happens because of idleness. Is it a must that a child must embark on something during holidays to be able to put his or herself useful and run away from certain temptations beside?
Hyncenth, as a medical doctor, yes, I'll tell you that at teenage, they have hormones running around in their bodies. And when they are idle, they are going to act on those hormones. When we're growing up, our parents used to take us to the farm during the holidays. Yes. We'll spend time with our parents on the farm. They kept us busy. You work on the farm until your whole body is aching. When you come back home, you just want to bathe, eat and sleep. The next day, you are going back to the farm. Our parents did that to us. We thought they were punishing us, but they were protecting us from certain temptations. Like he said, a child has an Android phone with the flick of a finger, already on a pornographic site, and they have these hormones coursing around their bodies. Then they think they are falling in love. That's what they say, they're falling in love. Meanwhile, it's these hormones, a chemical reaction in the bodies, the telephones, and everything. So parents of today, they think it's modern for them to just give these things to their children and let them alone. As parents of today, have you thought of taking the holidays, your own leave, during the time that your child is on holidays, and spending time with your child? I mean, the 24 hours with your child, every day.
What she said, some parents would rather prefer to run away from their homes during holidays, because I remember a parent asked a teacher that this time you said there's no school. Who would the child be with in the house? Which means that some parents, ironically, instead of say, okay, June, July, August, I should take 1 month from where I work and then be with the children, they would rather prefer to say, okay, let me take after, because they don't want to be with the children in the house.
Exactly. I think Mrs. Tesho just said something that parents have abandoned their responsibilities. They think, some parents, yes, thanks for the correction, they think it's the role of the teacher. That is why when holiday comes, they start asking questions. Who is going to stay with them at home? And frankly speaking, there are some people who leave the house when the children are still sleeping, and they come back when the children are already sleeping. So whatever the child did during the day, no, they will hardly tell you. They will hardly tell you. So it's a very, very big problem. And then there's also one thing we have to know, which is that an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So when children are let loose, they play, they go wild, and anything can cross their mind. And there is one thing with them which, just as Doctor said, they need to be controlled. We should constantly check on their activities. What are they doing is important, and how are they doing is also very important.
Let me stay with you. There is this phenomenon of holiday classes during holidays. Yeah. What is the place of holiday classes in a child's life?
Now, during the school period, we have subjects that we do in school: maths, English, sciences, and all those things. Now, during holidays, when children go to school, should they continue doing the same thing, doing mathematics, addition, subtraction, and or whatnot? Now, I think some schools look at it differently. Now, they make it in such a way that when they get to school in the morning, children engage in a kind of play, drama, and things like that for about 1 hour. Then they work, they can do mathematics, English, and maybe literature. These are subjects that build the mind. They do it for about 2 hours. And then next time they go into traditional dances. The children learn how to cook, both boys and girls, there in school. And they have so many activities that they carry out. Children work with their hands, they make beads, they make bamboo chairs and things like that. I think if we work with them that way, it also helps them to discover themselves. It helps to bring out their talents. But holiday classes, to go start from 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock, doing mathematics, English, book, no, then it is not holiday.
Okay, Tessa, there is this phenomenon of child labor during holidays, where many hold that it is normal, but for some, it appears so abnormal. What is your take on the growing phenomenon of child labor during holidays?
I'll just say it's irresponsibility of the parents, because I rightly said here some minutes ago that it's your responsibility to determine with your partner the number of children you want. It's your responsibility to sit with your partner and say, this is how our family is going to be like. And it's your responsibility as parent to know where you want your child to stand in the future. Because we are talking as if it's a joke, but it's a reality. What your child is going to be is the child which is going to be the reflect of you when he's an adult. If you decide that, okay, I'm going to send that child in the streets to be selling, to have money, he will sell, and he's going to be forged the way the society wants him to be. But the next thing is that he's going to be standing like an inhuman person in front of you, because he will learn that in society you have to be harsh. He will learn that there are things you do because you want to be the winner. He will learn that everybody should be placed aside if you want to succeed. And at that moment, even you, the parent, when you will come, even if he succeeds in that business, because I'll say my reality, I have a lot of elder brothers who were selling in the streets. Why? Because the parents were not taking charge of them. They knew they had to fund for themselves and struggle because they wanted to go back to school. But those children, with time, when you observe them, you understand that they become very hard. Because when the parent is not there to give that smoothness, to make the child to feel that life is not just a harsh time, the child will turn out to be somebody who put an inhuman way of being in life. And you, the parent, you are going to pay the price of it. And another one is that when they send the children to the street, it's irresponsible, because that child did not ask to come to this world. Because you say, okay, go to the street and sell. Yes, I will not say that it's completely a bad thing to bring the child outside. I used to do that, but my mom will make sure that when the holidays come, she will show me that this is groundnut, this is this, and you sit next to the corner of the house. And when you're doing so, she's observing. The little things that come, she will tell you that this one you should have done like this. And at the end of those 3 months, you understand certain things. You have learned from the school of life. Because they don't tell us the reality. There's the school that we go for the books, and there's the school of life.
Sure.
And if you make your child to just know the school of books, automatically when he gets into the world of life, he's going to be confused. And many things we see today, when you come into Cameroon, it's mostly in Douala that you discover that young people, as even from 10, are sometimes very tough. You see, a child does not know that he can carry a bottle and give to you just for that. He wants you to pay him for that action. And you understand that it is the streets. It's what the streets has taught to him. But imagine that if you're a parent, you get into another place, you reach a child who know that it's normal to give you a bottle of water. Because you're a stranger, you just arrived in the house. It's the education that the parents give to the child. And if you fail on that education, you, the parent, ask yourself, what do you want that child to reflect in the future? Because many parents today, they will tell you that, my child has insulted me, my child has put me out of the house, my child got married to the wife and does not want to listen to me. Look at the genesis. I said, look at the genesis. We spend time making a lot of noise, but it's the basis today. And we are talking to the parents there because holidays are already there. We don't want them to make the same mistakes. So they must understand that what you put in the mind of your child is what tomorrow is going to give back to you.
Paul, we see children as young as 6, 8, 10. I want to limit myself maybe in the city of and Yaoundé, moving around to sell. What is the risk involved in all this?
Wow, the risks, I think it cannot even be measured. Because looking at that age, the age group you mentioned, those are still children who can't really take care of themselves. They need to be guarded. They need to be supervised in every activity that they take. And when you send them out to the street, like Madam just said, you expose them to every danger. The danger of being kidnapped, the danger of being knocked down by cars, the danger of maybe learning things that they're not supposed to learn at that age. Because like we always say around the streets are the places where you find the good, the bad, and the ugly. And when you send these kids out there, you're not putting them on a particular road where they are going to find really good. They find themselves meeting the ugly and the bad as well. And how do children of such age group comport in such environments, and what vibration are they picking? Because at that age, it's just a blank sheet. They are just so open and they are very receptive. That's one thing we must know. And now, if they receive information at that age that is not the right information, maybe you sitting at home, you're not aware that they have received that information. You might see your kids behaving a type in the house and you don't understand how they came about such behavior. But maybe it's because they went out on the streets and the interactions they had with particular people put such ideas in their heads. It's rather unfortunate that parents might not really like sending their kids out there, but sometimes hardship push them because on their own and the activities they are involved in, they can't really fend for themselves and the kids, and they want the children to contribute to their own upbringing, which is not really the best. But it's unfortunate. It's something that we are facing, but the challenges or the risks that the children are involved or are exposed to cannot be measured.
Dr. Fon, are they not faced maybe to the world where it's not their will to send the children out? You know, during holidays, children are supposed to be home, and you know, all of us here are family heads. You can imagine the amount of food that the children are supposed to eat during holidays, and then a parent who doesn't have say, okay, this is the only option. Let the child go out. The economic reasons, maybe they are being sent out following the economic reasons from parents because of the hardship.
I think the truth is that in Africa, our children have always worked. They give them age-appropriate tasks. And for us, it's not child labor. Modern parents of today think that child labor is a bad thing. The children should not work. They have house servants. The house servants are doing everything. The children just sit and watch television. It's wrong. Personally, I think it's wrong. During the holidays, if you have a house where you have house servants, let the house servants not work. During the holidays, let your children work. And holiday is not a time for children to be reading. Their brains need to rest. Like he said, other activities, not mathematics and all those things. They need to rest. So for me, child labor is something that should be supervised by the parents. And they should give tasks that are appropriate, protecting the children from any harm, from any problems with their health. Then they should be able to praise the children when they do those tasks. Because when you are praised, it's no longer labor. You see it as contributing to the well-being of your children, of your family. Because, you know, at the center, Tesho Center where we are, we tell parents that your children are very important for the well-being of your family. Involve them. Let the children tell you what they can do. You know, like she said, sit by your child and let the child sell with you. Don't send your child into the street with a tray on the head. And then
with
you
the
sit back.
recklessness of the motorbike riders that you and I, maybe at times we are even unable to cross the road.
Do you love your child? Do you really love your child?
That's a big question.
Or you deliver that child just to make money for you?
That's it.
No, I think it's wrong for you to send the child away like that. Be with your child.
I would like to add something to what you just said. We
Yes.
should not just focus on the holidays. When you get in the streets of Douala, what do you see? You see some children less than 10 years, one holding the hand of the other one to cross the road, to go to school or whatsoever. Where is that mother? Where is that father? Not to hold the hand of the child, to lead that child to the school. It's a big problem because when somebody will come and jam these children, something will happen. You will see parents coming out to claim that they have killed their child, that they are having pains. You will see them all over TV complaining and crying. Where were you when that child needed you? You don't give birth to a child just to fill up a formality, because that's what I'm actually seeing right now. You see some children, they are just around the street, nobody is taking care about them, so they are exposed. The person who is looking for organs, what is he going to do? He's going to come and make his choice. That's what we are living today. We should be clear about it. There is no parent protecting the child. Go on Facebook today, you will see that they are looking for children. We are looking for this one who disappeared. How did that child leave the house, cross the road, go to school, and today you cannot even describe how the child did to disappear? You should be able to tell the teacher, this is my child. They should know who is coming to pick the child. That's how we grew up. But today we have the impression that they put the child, they send the child to school, nobody is there. If sometimes you have to stop in the street to hold the child, because you see the way they are waiting, you are even afraid. You tell yourself that if that car knocks the child, are you going to say that you were there and you saw it? So I'm asking myself, if me, who is not parent to that child, I see that child and I stop, take time to make them to cross, how does that parent back home feel to know that she has sent the child who has to cross roads to get to the house? So you understand that holidays is even the worst of it. They don't even care at all.
Mr. Fon, aside maybe what is being done in schools, what do you think are some of the activities parents can engage their children into during holidays?
Yeah, every parent has the responsibility to discover the talents of his or her child. As your children grow up, when they play, it's your role to observe them, and you realize that this child is good for this child is good for this. There is a problem today. Everybody wants the child to have GC O level, GC advanced level, go to the University of Boya or Yaoundé and come up with a BA degree. You realize another child who would do better in a technical school. No, they tell we have grown up with the impression that technical schools are for weak or children who are intellectually weak, which is very, very wrong. There are many things children can do. We just need to observe them and put them on the right track, and we will be happy with that. We have cases of children who can do well when it comes to hairdressing and aesthetic, but we push them. You have others who can be good architects. They can go get into building, but all they need is orientation. But the problem with us is, let's say, especially in Douala, with some of us, is money, money, money. We leave the house to look for money. Father is looking for money. Mother is looking for money. The children play alone. Nobody knows what the talent of the child are. So most of the time, even when the children fail, the teacher is to blame. That's the problem. But they fail to understand one thing, which is that teachers go to school with a program handed down by the state. It is true we have today extracurricular activities, and I think that is something that is really positive. We have extracurricular activities where I am, for example, every Friday as from 1 p.m., children start working with their hands. There are those who are doing hairdressing, others are involved in agriculture. You have plastic arts, others do handicraft and things like that.
You wanted to react, Dr. Fon?
Yes, I wanted to say, please, Mr. Technician, can you call my daughter? Yes, you see, when I was coming here today, my daughter sewed me this dress. And I told her, I'm going to wear this dress, and I am going to come on television, and you will come and say, you did it for me. You know, when you are a daughter, you send your child to do something, and you as the parent now, you can use that thing. You can weigh it. You build her self-confidence. You make her proud. She knows that she's doing something really useful. She can put her mind to it and do it well. And that is why for me today, wearing this dress, I mean, is super important. It's more important than any dress that I could ever have bought in any shop, because it's made for me with love by my own daughter.
As a holiday activity?
Yes, no, she's doing it like her handwork, you know. Yeah, not every child should go to school and have degrees like.
Of course.
Yes, he says. But you can have a child who works with her hands and she wants to be a designer. Yes, so she did this for me, and I went and said, I'm going to Canal Day today. I'm going to wear that dress. You're going to come with me, you know. And
yeah, that is the society of what can you do, because we have been so deep into book work, and then at the end, with a lot of degrees, you begin to roam the street and then knocking at one door to another, and when they ask you, you have a degree in this, what can you do? You say, I have a degree. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can contribute to the talking point through the number you have on your screen, SMS or WhatsApp only. Please make your messages short and straight to the point. Let's have a breather. Let's visit some holiday makers and see what they are engaged in during this 3 months period.
The holiday season brings joy, celebration, and family gatherings. However, for many parents, it also presents dilemmas related to welcoming guests or sending their children to visit relatives. According to Search, a restaurant owner, these decisions are increasingly challenging.
Déjà, vous savez, au Cameroun, nous vivons le jour le jour.
Nowadays, my small business that I do here, my girls are with me. I prefer to teach them how to cook. It is true that we used to send them in those days to change the environment, but today the means is heavy.
Les moyens aujourd'hui, c'est plus vraiment facile.
C'est de démontrer à l'enfant qu'il n'est pas le parent seul.
Sending my children for holidays to his uncle is just a way to show the child that I am not the only parent he has. It is important for the child to know family members, my brother's children and my children as well.
Les enfants de mes frères, de mes cousins sont aussi les miens.
Some parents emphasize security when sending their children on holiday trips.
I have to examine the morality of the person I am sending my kid to. If it is not my kind, I will not. To receive kids in my house, I will assure that I am capable to meet their needs.
Le suivi de ces enfants pendant la période.
Sur le plan sécuritaire, on sait.
Security is necessary. It is important to know the morality of persons you are sending your kid to. In social media, there is a video of a child of 8 years that was sent for holidays to a friend, and that child was raped.
Le propriétaire des lieux.
Most parents recognize that during vacations, children face various risks. Therefore, families must consider security measures. Whether they choose to embrace holiday makers or keep their children close, the decision remains deeply personal.
Thank you, Kinga, for that report. Paul, in those days, holidays was a period for children to go to the village, visit their grandparents, have some village life. But today, it seems to be the reverse.
Yes, Hyncenth, it seems to be the reverse due to some foreseen circumstances and unforeseen circumstances. It's rather unfortunate that some of us who come from the English part of the country, our villages are not really safe. I would have really loved my kids to go and spend time with my parents back then, my mother especially, but the environment there is not really safe. That's why I thought otherwise. If not, that should be the best, because if we are people, somebody like me who grew up just with my mother, if I am something meaningful in the society today, is because of certain values that she put in me, and I would have really loved that she should put some in my kids, you know. And other people out there, I think having time to spend with our parents and our grandparents is something that's important for us as Africans, because growing up and we had this tradition of having our grandparents, we sit by them at the fireside and they are telling us stories of the past. They are telling us there's a lot of history that they get to transfer to us, and the way they do things, there are certain things that we, especially in cities like Douala, we can't really involve in, which our children are totally lack of that. You know, when I had the opportunity to see some of my elderly aunties, and the way they were preparing food and grouping us to eat together, the way they were handling us, it had a way that it shaped us. You know, community settings or village settings have a way that it builds us as human beings. In a town like Douala, it's a rush hour. Everybody wants to be the person who wants to drive past the junction first, but in community life, it's totally different. There are certain activities that people are bound to work together. And truth be told, in real life society, we are supposed to collaborate. So finding our kids go back and spend time in community life is really important.
TESSA, you also deep into culture because one of those elements that we're pushing children to go to the village is language, for them to go and learn their mother tongue. But we don't see that happening today. Maybe that is why you see many having difficulties to even learn the basics of their mother tongue.
We are going to say that there is a generation which has failed. Maybe the transmission was not well done. Maybe that's where we had the big problem, because today we see elderly people, when you talk to them, they can't answer in the dialect. They can't actually talk the dialect. When you talk, they're ashamed even to talk about it. And as you rightly said, I've been for years into the world of culture because I've understood something. If you want an African to be an African and be proud of himself, he needs to know about himself. And we have now to sell our culture to our people. We have reached that level. We should not stand again and complain about it. We have to sell our culture back to our children. And I will share with you an experience I had. I went for a project once where I went to schools and tried really to talk with the children and try to understand their way of thinking and all the like. I had an experience where I got in a school there in Bonaberry, and I asked some questions to the children. I asked, what do you like to do in life? You see, somebody would tell me journalist, another one would tell you I want to be a lawyer and everything. And I saw a little boy at the far end, he was not answering. So what I did is that I went towards him and I said, hey, you, what do you want to do in life? And the whole class started laughing. Everybody was laughing in the class. So I stopped there and I looked at the boy. I said, tell me, what do you like? What do you want to do in life? And he was just like, and the other neighbor said, he likes to draw. He's always drawing those, this is what he likes to do. He took some images and showed to me. And I said, wow, my brother, you're already a millionaire. Yeah. And the whole class cooled down. And they looked at me. I said, yes, you're already owing money. You're already a rich man. Imagine that a newspaper hires you right now for you to write about the stories. Do you know that now like this, you can even build a house for your family? The whole class was calm. Everybody started looking at him, like, hey, who is this young boy like that? And you see, and there was another one behind. I asked him, what do you want to do? And the class laughed until I said, what is it? He said, I like to do bricklaying. And you see, I looked at the boy, I said, so you're already a hero. Imagine what we saw the other day in Bafoussam where people died because the landslide it's because there was nobody like you to tell them how to build their houses. Sure. And I'll tell you that when I left that class, all those little boys at whom they were really maybe looking like low, they were actually looking at them that, wow, so you're already on the top. So I think that today we have a problem is that we have jobs that with time we turn to look at it very low. We downgraded those jobs, and today we have a big problem ourselves. Because now you cannot tell to your child to go and do bricklaying. You know that when you will tell him like that, you will feel that you are insulting him, because the society has been saying that being a bricklayer is something bad. But we need them today. We have developed a system where we believe that it is true when you wear the coat, when you get into the office, that you will develop. No, Africa today, we need those people who are able to go on the floor. Like what we are having today. A young African can sit back home and work on such a structure and come and say, oh, can I have this for you? And he's going to sell it out. So we have to change. This was made locally. I think so, because carrying this home material is not easy. Okay. So I think those are things we have to do. We have to learn them our culture, but we also have to show to them that we need the practical and those who can be immediately effective.
Mr. Fon, during holidays, some parents, there is a period they prefer to buy mobile phones for their children. With the growing vices in the social media, is that not rather plunging the children into more danger?
There is one thing we have to note, which is that phones are used mostly for communication. It's not really bad to buy a phone for your child, but the question is, how is the child using the phone? That's something we have to follow up. But is it really possible to follow them up? That's another problem. So it's a very risky venture. Personally, it's something I avoid doing with my children. There is a certain age. If you are not 20, I don't really let you use a phone.
Have a phone.
Yeah, I don't. And secondly, you have to know how to use your phone. I think the first children, I have no problem with them as far as that is concerned. And those who are coming up are also following the same trend. It's very, very risky. We have a youth today that even reasons far, far more than we used to when we were of their age. And that was because there was discipline. We were surrounded by discipline. We grew up in a society where your father was not only your biological father, even the neighbor played the role of your father.
Yes.
Your neighbor would beat you and you avoid telling your parents because the parent would beat you again before asking you, what did you do? But today we find neighbors taking neighbors to court for correcting their children. So finally, children feel they can do anything.
No limit.
And the worst thing is, when we hear America talks of the rights of the child, we also take it, we copy it. Look at the way it is destroying America. Is that the same thing we want? No, because you hear of serial killers in America. What is the cause?
Anger.
Frustration. They grow up in frustration. They could not release their anger the way it was supposed to be done because there is a law that prevents them from doing that. They grow up with that anger, and at the end of the day, they become serial killers. You find little girls of 14, 15, they tell their mother they have the right to have a boyfriend. And they go out picnicking, they spend the whole night out, parents don't know where they are. Yeah. And you find policemen there to protect them in their evil deeds. So we really need to build ourselves.
Practically, we should tell parents that there is nothing wrong with not giving a phone to a child until the child is 20. They will cry, they will put pressure on you, but tell them, if you achieve this, if you have your A-levels with these grades, I will give you a phone. They work hard for it. And before you give them a phone, sit down and tell them about digital footprints. You know, it's a whole lesson. Digital footprints, the things that you watch on Google and so on, they remain under your account. The day that you be a big man, a big woman, they will follow you and they will destroy you. So be very careful. Our children had that lesson before we gave them phones after A-levels.
I would like to
Paul,
add something to that.
Okay, yes, before I go to Paul.
I want us to be realistic. All those big people in the domain of telecommunications and all the like, let me remind you that there is a school actually in the US where they refuse the children to be using internet. And they are costly. Those schools now are costly, where they learn the child to use those simple things to count so that you should not use again the computer. So imagine that they are back to that system and it is more costly. But us, we are obliged here because they give exercises to the children and they come and claim your phone to do the exercises. So we should be very careful on it.
Thank you, TESSA. We have tons of messages. Let's just take this one. Good afternoon. I'm watching you from Ghana. My name is George. I like the program. We shall be coming back. Let me come to you because you are more involved in this digital marketing that you are. How can our children during this holiday, for those that have been offered phones, how can they use it as an asset, not just roaming around WhatsApp, Facebook, and then trying to copy what they are not supposed to copy?
All right. Thank you for that very important question. What I want to say is that don't give a child a phone when the child has no good values. Give good values to the children first, and then before you give them a phone. Because if they have no values, they will go searching whatever thing. And one thing I must observe is that we have tools on the mobile phone that are considered one of the highest sources of knowledge in the world. We have the YouTube, we have the Googles. But the question is, what do you go searching there? We've had a lot of people who come up with projects that they acquire knowledge from these places. For example, I'm a trained accountant. That's what I did up from Form 1 to university. But I'm a marketer today.
That's a book that was given to you.
Yes, I did not actually go to school to do that. I attended online classes from Nigeria, from the US, and I did research on my own. So the phone you have in your hand is a very powerful tool. But you need to make sure that you don't just go there for entertainment. Because like Doctor said, as young people, the hormones are more tilted towards entertainment, towards fun. But that phone also has a lot of knowledge. There are things that you can get exposed to, and they open your mind. Anything you want in this world is already in the Android phone. That's something you must know. All you need to do is to go and ask, how can I? If there's anything that you want to create in this world, so they go to YouTube and say, how is this done? If you want to cook a particular meal and you don't know how to do it, go there and ask, how can I cook achu? You'll be surprised to see that somebody had done a video on how you can cook achu, and you watch it and you'll be able to do it, and you have the exact results that the person had. So while we are trying to guide our children towards the uses of mobile phones, we must keep guiding them and telling them how they can use these tools to better their careers. There are children who can get back to school better because they spend the holidays learning things on a mobile phone, watching videos that can open their mind, because it's all about, it's wired up here. When it's wrong here, everything is going to be wrong. So the mobile phone can be a good source of inspiration, a good source of information, but before that is done, let's make sure that our children have good values.
I like the part that the mobile phone has all.
Yes.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. So it is at the level of parents now to say, oh, I've given you a phone, but please make use of it. Because in those days, you remember when we used to go to school, there was no internet. Yes. When they give you an assignment, you begin to run from one house to another if you don't have a textbook.
Yes.
But today, with a click on Google, you will be able to find what you are looking for. So I think, Doc, it comes back to what you were saying, that it doesn't suffice to give a phone. Give a phone and then make sure the phone is being used.
Yeah, you teach your child how to use the phone. It's very important. Electronic footprints, when I had that lesson and I told them, they were shocked. Hey, it means that this thing will follow me, this record will follow me all my life. So they'll be more careful.
Okay. Mr. Fro, we are almost getting out. But let's come back to some of the ills, because I want us to hammer on the ills so that the parents should know where they're going. Because we, like you were saying here, during holidays, we see young children in nightclubs, smoking cigarettes, smoking shisha, drinking everything drinkable. How can parents watch maybe so that those things should not happen?
The first thing, I think, whenever a parent is at home, the first thing, you make sure before you go to bed, your children go to bed before you. You don't go to bed leaving your children sitting in the sitting room. Because if I may talk about an experience, I have a brother who once said he had a phone call late at night at 1 a.m. He hesitated and finally picked the call and was told that the son had been knifed in a snack. He said, no, my son is in bed. They said, no, go and check. When he went, he was surprised. Because when he was going to bed, the son also went into his own room. So it is something that is very difficult to control. It takes the state and parents to control. Because even with the awareness, your child can still leave very, very late in the night. Now, how does the state come in? All these beer parlors and all these public places have age limits. But do they respect the ages? No. All they want is money. And when you get in there, you find even some of our administrators are uniform officers. They are there, and it doesn't mean anything to anybody. It doesn't mean anything to anybody. And you cannot tell a child, no, you go out. It becomes a problem. And because even if the parent comes there, first thing, you have no right to touch or to blame his child. They start telling you about rights, and they start telling you laws and things like that.
Okay, let's take this message. Good day, sir. I'm moved with the program. I would like to say something and chip in something. For my opinion, parents need to dialogue with their children. Tell them things they need to know about life. Doc, it boils back to what we were saying. Now, at this point, what should be the relationship between the parents or guardians and their children globally?
Globally, from 0 to 10 years, that's the time that you should prune the child. You should cane the child responsibly like we do it in Africa, so that the child should know wrong from right, 0 to 10 years. After 10 years, you become their role model. Because you cannot tell a child to do something.
You have an exemplary life.
You have to. If you want your child to turn out
we
right.
know parents, like we were talking about drinking here, we know parents who spend
their time drinking. Know that your child will be drinking.
Almost daily.
Their child will be drinking. Yes, if you do that. So you be their role model. You model what behavior you want them to have in life. Because at that time they are reasoning now. That is why you cannot force them to do anything. If you want them to go to bed at a certain time, dialogue with them. Sell them your idea. You know, give the advantages and the disadvantages. Let them do research on the advantages and disadvantages. Then decide by themselves from 10 to 20 years. Don't go slapping them. Because if you slap a boy of 18 who has muscles, he will just hold your hand like this and say, Papa.
We see what happens in schools today.
Yes, what happens in school? Say, Papa, don't try again to beat me. And you push you away. You say, my child beat me. The child did not beat you. You know, you call a family meeting.
Let's take one other message. Good afternoon to the beautiful panel on 360 degrees. Children should have parental guidance in all they do and have objectives in what they are doing. Children should be engaged in skilled activities if possible, hairdressing, computer classes, etc. Dr. Fon, I'm proud of your daughter for the dress she has done to you. Her dream is being realized. This is coming from Mr. Efu Kevin, a teacher from JSS, Group Scolaire Bilingue Sira. Yes, we are almost moving out, Paul. Yes, what should be the take-home message from the discussions we've had here today?
This is the take-home message. Our parents should make sure they expose the children to several activities, but they should be supervised. I'm taking experience from myself. I had to remember several years after that I got back to marketing because at the age of 5 I was already selling. It wasn't my mother's will, but I was too weak to go to the farm. And then, yes. So what was usually done was that the tray was carried. I could not carry the tray to the junction, and then I was seated beside an elderly person, and then the person guided me. So I started selling at that age. So I was so good at that. Later on, I studied all the accounting. I found myself doing marketing. I asked myself, but how did I come about this? And after doing a lot of research, I discovered it's because in my subconscious mind at that tender age, I started selling. So we should expose these children to a lot of activities that can help them be creative at this tender age, but we should make sure that they're supervised. For me, I already have books. I have 10 books that all my kids will read. Once you reach 15, you must read them because I have been able to shape my life with these books, and I'm making sure that I'm reading around them so that they should see that it's an activity that they should involve in, so that when the time comes, it should not be something that is too challenging for them.
Tessa, we are moving out less than 30 seconds.
I will just say that the parents should get back to what we knew before. Parents need to have a double life. Get back to your double lives, because the more you want to be natural with the children, you destroy them because they need to have examples. We don't have, again, example in society. So you send your child on holidays, he's going to be exposed to something which is going to break him down. So parents, you have to show the example so that even when they are faced with whatsoever, they will know how to stand.
Mr. Fon, briefly?
I think I would just say our mission on earth is not mainly to make money, but to build a new civilization, and that we can only achieve when we bring up our children morally and responsibly. And I think that's what we should embark on.
Dr. Fon, you have the last
I want
word.
to tell my daughter, Marvelous, thank you for this beautiful dress. You see, we came here together, and you are very important and very precious.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We are drawing the curtains of this program. We thank you for watching. If you missed out on anything, don't forget to watch the rebroadcast on Wednesday at 11 p.m. And to all the holiday makers, we say enjoy holidays and make sure you value to yourself before the 3 months runs out. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.